Hey, ADHD fan. Are you tired of regular energy drinks? Do you need a pick-me-up that won't make you crash or give you the jitters? Zoom on over to Dubby Energy. They are a clean energy drink company that was created with you in mind. These powdered drinks will give you no crash, no jitters, and no angst like many other energy drinks out there. They are a US-based company that doesn't hide what's in their products. Pick up one of their tubs of powder to help energize your day. They have a lot of fun flavors and even some licensed ones with solo leveling. Each serving comes out to about $1 per drink, which is much cheaper than getting Starbucks, Dunkin', or any other canned energy drinks. And with our promo code, you can save 10%. Use code ADHW at checkout to save some green. That's ADHDUBBY. Check it out in the show notes below. Pick up your tub today and stay energized.
What is up, ADHD podcast? It is a great day today. It is a great night. It is a great afternoon. It is a great whatever we're feeling at the moment. How you guys doing? This is the beginning of season 3. Holy crap. It feels like it's been so long since we've been doing something like this. It's your boy Steve over here.
It's your boy Rob, and we have a very special guest on for today's episode for the premiere of season 3. Let's give it up for Mr. Tomm Moore of Cartoon Saloon.
Thanks, guys. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for hopping on. So let's just roll right into it. I mean, we got a lot of questions. I mean, I have a lot of questions. I've been a huge fan of watching just everything that Cartoon Saloon's been putting out there.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I listened to your podcast about Irish animation. It was very flattering. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Oh my God. That's praise. And just as a thing that we're saying with everything, Tom, we are trying to be a family-friendly podcast, but if a curse slips out every now and then, go for it. We don't give a here.
Oh dear, I'll be careful. So
yeah, it's on me to edit it, so I blame him for anything, really.
I gotta make your job as hard as possible most days.
Oh man. So just in this, like, again, the first question I'm gonna roll with is like, in this world of animation that feels very loud and very vulgar and very, like, graphic at times, a lot of what you put out there kind of fits into a quiet realm, so to speak, and kind of just brings it down to a, it's a fun dichotomy of what you do, making relatively quieter films in that regard. Do you think that just comes naturally to you as a storyteller to not go for, like, the more extreme, more morbid stuff, or is it more of a rebellion on the pacing?
Yeah, it's a conscious effort, I suppose. You want to make something when you're making films that your primary audience are young people and kids and stuff like that. You want to make something that's worthwhile because it's so hard to get these things made. You know, you want to make something that's a bit different, offering something a bit different than the mainstream when you're working as an independent filmmaker. And it's kind of important to us as, you know, studio owners, me and Nora and Paul, that we make stuff that we're thinking about the audience as if they were our own family, you know, that we're not kind of trying to exploit kids or anything like that. We're trying to, you know, offer something different, you know.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
You definitely do. And I feel like the way that obviously just being from Killkenny and sprinkling in the Irish folklore that you guys do into each of your stories consciously, right, is amazing and just helps spread your guys' culture even more.
Yeah, that's been an amazing side effect I didn't anticipate when we started. Like when we started making Secret of Kells, I wasn't sure whether it would find an audience outside of Ireland, but it actually has found an audience around the world, which I'm really happy about. And so the whole folklore trilogy, Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers, they all sort of are kind of spiritually linked because the idea for each one of them came while I was making the previous one, you know? And so they're all kind of a piece for me anyway. That's why I was really happy when they were all completed, that we were able to release them in a box set of DVDs. It's like there's physical media still in the world, and we can release a DVD set or a Blu-ray set of the 3 movies, and somehow they've become ambassadors for Irish culture in a way that we hadn't anticipated when we started out. But they seem to work.
I was just watching The Secret of Kells last night, and I hate to say it was the first time that I was able to watch it, but I fell in love with it. All of the work that you have done has been absolutely beautiful, and seeing the illuminated manuscripts and all of the artwork that was just incorporated into it brought me back to when I was over in Ireland back in 2009, just when that movie was like around coming out, and I had no clue that existed, but being able to go to Trinity College and see the Book of Kells, being a 19-year-old kid, I was just flabbergasted by it, and seeing that brought to life in your art was
it would have been great if you'd gone to the cinema back then and got to see it in Kilkenny, but I'm glad you finally saw it.
And just so, what gave you that idea initially to just say, hey, we want to do this Irish animation, we want to do this Irish folklore story? What gave you that idea to just jump off with it and start with, to be honest, the Book of Kells?
Yeah, going back into the midst of time here now, but it was about 25 years ago, and I was an animation student in college, and I was myself and some friends were talking about what could we do with hand-drawn animation that hadn't really been done before. And we kind of felt that at the time Disney were kind of working their way through a lot of different cultures, and we wanted to kind of beat them to it and do something Irish ourselves before they did, you know. And we wanted to speak for ourselves, I suppose. It also felt like something that we could offer, again, going back to that thing of what are you offering when you're putting together a team and trying to put together the finance to create something independently. There's a question, like, what can you offer that's different to what's going on for the mainstream? So we felt that was speaking to our own culture, our own background. I'd been a member of Young Irish Filmmakers, which is a group here in Kilkenny, when I was a teenager. And I guess that's where the idea first came to the surface. I think it was in art history class in school that myself and some friends were talking about. Like Ross Stewart, who co-directed Wolfwalkers, another guy, Aidan Hart, who is a sculptor now, but was originally part of the team back then. We all went to school together. We all went to animation school together. And we all had I remember we were kicking the idea around with a group of other college friends at the time. There was a bunch of us that would meet up in each other's apartments, little rented apartments in Dublin when we were studying in college, and we were trying to develop and do concept art and come up with the idea for the film. And one of the things that we felt was going to set it apart was the fact that it was inspired by Irish folklore, Irish history, and Irish art and design as well. You know, the Book of Kells being the kind of, when we were thinking about, we loved The Thief and the Cobbler, which was this film by Richard Williams, which was based on Persian miniatures. And we were thinking, could we do something like that with Irish art? And we were looking at Irish art and looking at the kind of when was Irish visual art at its peak. And it really was that the illuminated manuscripts was the moment that Irish visual art was really world class, and we were saying we kind of do a nod to that era, you know.
That's absolutely so cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool. If teenage you could see where the studio's gone to, where these movies have gotten to, where you've taken Irish traditions and folklore to a a global level, what do you think he would say? What do you think he would be saying to you right now?
I think I would love to go back and tell worried, earnest, anxious Tom of teenage years that, you know, all the hopes and dreams that we were piling into it, you know, would pay off, you know. So I'd love to have the opportunity to time travel and to be able to tell him to keep going, because I think he'd be delighted that. He'd be surprised as well that I'd managed to make a living in hand-drawn animation in Killkenny in Ireland, because I think I always imagined that at some point I'd have to go, if I wanted to work in animation, I'd have to go abroad, you know. So I think he'd be a little bit surprised. Maybe he'd be a bit disappointed that I never made it out of my hometown. Maybe teenage Tom would be like, come on, man, that's lame. Why aren't you living in Los Angeles or New York or something? But
because Los Angeles and New York suck. Like,
they're
to be honest,
expensive too. They're so expensive.
Oh god,
Yeah.
even just living in New Jersey is expensive as all hell. And like looking over at Ireland, I'm like, I do youth ministry. I could totally do that over in Ireland for like a good price and save like a couple $100,000 and being here in the States.
And your story is so inspiring to me as a person who got an animation degree here in the States. And I did try pitching shows. I did try getting into it, but now I teach, which has its own rewards and everything else. But it's just kind of, it keeps reminding me and keep inspiring me to keep trying at it, even if it doesn't necessarily go the way that I want it to, because it can happen.
Things can happen. And I think for me, it's been about collecting people around me who were like on the same journey with me. You know, I've had really good partners, really good collaborators. I mentioned like Aidan and Ross there, and Nora and Paul, my partners, but plenty of people here in the studio I've been with us for the whole 25 years. And we all studied together originally, and a few of us were members of Young Irish Filmmakers together as well. So I think there's been something about building community that's been a big part of the success, you know.
Yeah, they always, you know, the saying, it takes a village. It certainly holds true, right? I mean, in any walk of life, I suppose, it takes that group of people to kind of help keep pushing the message and the themes along.
Yeah, exactly.
And just kind of go off of that a little bit. Just listening to all of your movies and how important it is that you get the right voice actors for it, and being able to work with some of like the big names that come from that UK and Ireland area, that being able, when I was watching Secret Cows last night and immediately hearing the Abbott speak, and I was like, that's Gleason. That's Gleason.
Yeah.
I was like, how did he get him so early? He was just like starting the Harry Potter films at that point, and being able to, even in Wolfwalkers, work with like Sean Bean and all of those like bigger names. What was that like, just being able to like, oh, I can work with this amazing person with my small studio? What the actual hell?
Yeah, what the actual hell? Yeah, I don't know. With Brendan Gleeson, it's a nice story. He was he was well-known actor in Ireland at the time, and he was just starting. He was just about to be in Gangs of New York, and he was just making inroads into American movies at the time. But whenever we approached him, it was because Paul, my business partner, his dad knew somebody who played fiddle with Brendan Gleeson in a pub in their hometown. You know, it was just something like that. And
fuck on that one.
I remember he called up. Paul went to the Galway Film Fleadh, which is like a film festival here in Ireland, and approached him and showed him some artwork and told him that we were a bunch of young animation students who were trying to get this movie made. And he was like really gung-ho, like wanted to help us, you know. And so he recorded the voice for a little kind of concept trailer that we were animating at the time. This is back around the year 2000. And I remember going up to his house to record it. We recorded it in his living room, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then I think we really felt like we owed it to him to actually get it off the ground, because it was about 4 or 5 years later when we called him back that we finally got the money together. We're going to record for real in a proper recording studio, you know. And we were like, look, we did it. But he was always very supportive. I remember I won a prize for short film that I'd made back around 2001, and there was an award ceremony in Dublin, and I went to it, and Brendan Gleeson was there as well, and I remember saying to him, yeah, we're still trying to get this thing made, we're still trying to get it off the ground. He's like, oh, it'll happen, lads. So he was always a great supporter of us, so it was brilliant to work with him a couple of times, and I'm hoping to work with him again in my next film.
And is he like one of the nicest guys that you've ever met? Because like whenever you see interviews, and he always seems like that gruff Irishman, but at the same time he's got like a heart of gold. I'm like, I would want to get a drink with him. Like I would like to get like a cup of tea or sit down with a couple pints and just be like, can you just help me make my life better a little bit just by telling me stories?
Yeah, for sure. He was absolutely the best, yeah, and he was great, and he really was an early champion of the studio, which was fantastic for us. And you mentioned Sean Bean there; he's also a sweetheart. He was a really lovely guy to work with. But we got the idea for him to play the part because when Ross and I were coming up with Wolfwalkers, we were watching Game of Thrones the first season, so we were like, he would be brilliant. And as we were working on the script with Will Collins, who was the writer, we were doing Sean Bean impersonations as we were coming up with the lines. So we were really hoping he would say yes. So we were really glad that he said yes.
It was nice to actually see him survive a movie of some sort, or when he changed into, spoiler alert, he changed into his wolf form. I was just like, oh no, they're going to kill off Sean Bean, aren't they? He has to die and everything. And at the end of the movie, when I saw him with no shoes on, just riding in the caravan, I was like, he survived.
He did it. He survived. That's what we said would be the unique selling point to get him to do the movie, that he would get to survive the whole
movie. You have to write that in. Gotta write it in.
Yeah.
So just going off of talking about the hand-drawn animation, it's always so good to see that. And it's nice to see some studios coming back to some of the hand-drawn animation. But when you were talking with Apple to get Wolfwalkers up, when you were working on Song of the Sea, and around that time, a lot of stuff was coming out that was very much computer-generated and all of that. How did that affect you guys as a studio? Did you feel like you wanted to really hold on to that hand-drawnness, or were you thinking about going into being like, well, maybe we should follow the trends and be a little bit more appealing with like going with that like 3D or CG route?
There was times in the early days for sure when people were, some of us in the little group that were starting off the studio were debating, but I think we managed to make it kind of our brand, that we stayed with hand drawn. And I think there was a sense that we could do something with hand drawn that you wouldn't, like if we had tried to do CG, it would have been compared to Pixar, and it wouldn't have looked like Pixar, it would have looked less than, whereas with hand drawn, we felt we could do something that offers value and could look great without having to have like a super huge budget or whatever. So it ended up being kind of more than we realized guerrilla tactics, that we stayed with hand drawn. It ended up being the way that we were able to make stuff independently on lower budgets and shorter schedules and stuff but it's not to say the hand drawn is any faster or anything like that.
No, not at all. But I feel like it also adds to the level of like the authenticity of the look of going back to those illuminated manuscripts. Like you were saying, if you tried doing it in CGI or 3D, it kind of would have been off-putting. Like getting the fact that you get to do that traditional hand-drawn medium, it's so A, refreshing in this modern age, but B, it holds true to the stylings of what you were going for.
Exactly. And there's something timeless about hand-drawn animation. That was the argument I always made, that, Bambi and My Neighbor Totoro and Ponyo, and like I have a little granddaughter and I show her all these classics, and they could have been made at any time in the last 100 years, because hand-drawn animation doesn't age. Whereas if you look at the original Toy Story, the animation is quite ropey now by comparison to what CG can do now. And then on the other hand, I'm pretty excited seeing stuff like Arcane and the Spider-Verse, and just some cool stuff being done with CG these days, because they're starting to mix in that kind of illustrative look. It's not all that super polished, super rendered, realistic kind of rendering. It's starting to get a bit of a have other styles and stuff come into it, which I'm really happy to see. But for the longest time, when we were still eking out a lonely path at doing hand-drawn animation, it wasn't the prevailing trend at all.
Well, so in that same vein, what was like one piece of feedback that you got maybe early on in one of the movies or something like that that kind of changed your outlook on either storytelling or the process of animation or just the industry itself? What was one piece of feedback or advice that you had gotten at one point that made you kind of switch perspectives up a bit?
Well, around the time that all of this would have been in hot debate, we found our co-producer Didier Brunner in Paris, and he had produced the Triplets of Belleville and Kirikou and lots of these great European movies, great French movies. And he was the one who really said to us to go even further into our own style, into our own culture. And it wasn't so much the hand-drawn thing. I think he was kind of speaking more about the design and the look of it and the story and the music and everything like that. But the hand-drawn was naturally part of it then, because as you said, we were referencing these medieval art and these illuminated manuscripts and stuff, But Didier really said that you'll stand out from the crowd by doing your own thing and trying to mimic the American studios or the Japanese studios. As much as you might admire them, you'll only end up being compared to them, and you mightn't be compared favorably. But if you do your own thing, you'll stand out and it'll be unique and it'll be something different. So that was really helpful advice,
And with you just bringing up the ideas of like the American animation and the Japanese animation, you have been compared to Miyazaki, and you have been shown in the same light of how he elevated that idea of the Japanese animation and brought that to the forefront. How do you feel about being compared that as the Irish Miyazaki, about that idea of being you're the forefront for Irish animation?
Well, yeah, it's very flattering to be referred to that, and it's very I can only take it as a compliment, but I definitely don't think I'm anything like him. He's a pretty amazing character and an amazing career, an amazing number of movies. He seems to be just a powerhouse. He's just continually making more movies. I met him one time, there was an Academy Governor's Awards and John Lasseter was presenting Miyazaki with the Governor's Award, and he was smoking, because he smokes constantly. So I borrowed a cigarette so I could go and smoke with Miyazaki. That was my moment, coughing and spluttering beside him outside the Academy building, kind of going, gee whiz, it's Miyazaki. And then you don't know what to say. All you can kind of say is like, wow, thank you for your movies or whatever. So I'm just a fan like anybody else. So when people compare me to him, it's very flattering.
Well, you are an amazing artist, and the way that you are feeling about Miyazaki, I think that's how Rob and I feel a little bit right now. Like,
we're not smoking cigarettes, at least.
You need to start bumming a cigarette from somebody like, oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
Oh man, international smoking.
That'd be something. That'd be my first cigarette in over 10 years now.
Yeah, no, we won't risk it today. We won't go that way.
I also feel like there's a comparison there in terms of like how you guys feel about certain issues within the animation industry. Like, I know you guys have both kind of been outspoken about AI tools and stuff like that. But basically, what I want to kind of poke your brain about is what concerns you most about the animation industry going forward. Is it the AI tools? Is it kind of streaming and that whole idea where some people are not making as much money? Audience attention spans? Like what's the thing that we think is going to be the main issue going in?
Yeah, I don't know where to start. Definitely with AI. I mean, it's on one level, it's very impressive technology. It's incredible technology when you see what it can do. But it also, you can see that it's not a process that interests me. I think I'm interested in the handcrafted process, and I'm interested in creating things frame by frame and having that kind of control over every element and everything like that. And I guess that maybe it'll be a powerful tool for some kitchen sink animators who aren't working as a studio. Like if somebody is totally independent, and if they do still do a lot of their own handcrafted work. I've seen examples of like stop motion animators and stuff using it as a tool. That's interesting, but whenever it's just typing in a prompt and it spits something out, that doesn't really interest me, And it looks kind of janky, and there's all the weird question about where it came from and everything. So I don't know what's going to happen with AI. Whether it'll become integrated into pipelines and everybody will be obliged to use it, or whether it'll fade away again, like so many of these things like NFTs and the metaverse and VR and different things that seem to be the next big thing. I'm not sure, because there's so much hype around it, there's so much kind of noise around it. And then on the side of the streaming bubble bursting, it's really a tragedy, because even for our studio, we were really busy for a long time, and now, we're still trucking along doing our own stuff, but it's gotten a lot tougher to raise finance and to put budgets together and to get things off the ground. And we have a partner studio, Lighthouse, and they would have been doing a lot of service work here in Killkenny. So they do, right now they're doing the new season of Rick and Morty, and they did the Bob's Burgers movie and stuff like that. And so it was great because it was employment for our team. We had about 300 people living and working here in Killkenny in the animation business, and animation was booming there for a while. And now it seems to have just crashed right down. And it's really hard to say where the next one is going to come from, or what the next business model is going to be. I'm inspired when I see stuff like what Glitch Productions are doing.
I was just about to say that I'm so excited for that movie to come out, and I feel like that's kind of becoming the new norm in the pipeline, where it's you do your own crowdsourcing, you get your own money, you get your fan base to connect and do all this kind of stuff, and it's just gives the animators and the team so much extra strain than it used to.
Yeah, it's a lot of extra work, but what we are seeing is some really cool independent. I love the Knights of Guinevere and Laxadaisy and lots of those indie animations that are being made, digital first. Too. Yeah, there's some great stuff, and I remember years and years ago, I was at the New York Comic Con, and I met Vivian Medrano, and I think she was just a student at the time, and we drew in each other's sketchbooks. And now when I see all her success with Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss and all, it's brilliant to see. I think I must dig up that sketchbook where she did a sketch for me. She drew one of her characters into my sketchbook, But people like that are really inspiring. And I suppose those are little rays of light. But overall, my main hope is that parents and kids will continue to choose stuff other than just the lowest common denominator. If all they're being fed is AI slop, and I get kind of depressed. So we're going to keep on forging ahead, trying to offer something a little bit more handcrafted. And, places that inspire me are Aardman and Laika, aside from Ghibli and places like that. And there's some beautiful, in Cannes Film Festival this year, there's so many French hand-drawn movies, beautiful hand-drawn movies from France. There's Viva Carmen, this beautiful film, and there's some really beautiful stuff still being made. I just hope it finds its audience, Another ray of hope for me is Flow. Like, they made that in Blender, and
so good.
That guy had made films all on his own prior to this, and he kind of adapted the pipeline. He worked with a small team. That was a gorgeous film. I remember seeing it in Annecy and just being blown away with it. And then the fact that it went all the way and won the Oscar is just so inspiring, So there are rays of hope. There are areas that I think are exciting, that are growing. But overall, it's a difficult time for the business. It can't be denied.
And with you talking about like the AI slop and all of that stuff, there are some rays of hope out there. Like Laika is working on a new movie that looks absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God.
Isn't it? Wildwood? Yeah.
Seeing things pretty. Even as simple as like Bluey, where it's like, I have no kids. I have a 7-year-old niece, but even I sat down to watch that just to get like that nice feel good to be like, this reminds me of Saturday morning cartoons. And then like there are little rays of sunshine where you get to see something like that. And it's absolutely beautiful. And it really is nice to see animation made for kids, but knowing that like the kids that are watching it now have, that Gen X or Zillennials or millennial parents that were just like, we're going to watch this shit too and enjoy it.
I love Bluey too. I had a transatlantic flight there back from the States, and they had all the episodes of Bluey on the back of the screen. I watched it all the way home.
It's such a feel-good show.
Because that show alone doesn't just speak to the kids, like it does, which is great, but like you see how Bandit is, you see how Chili is, and you're just like, I relate very much to that. Like the one little short where Bandit's just trying to start up the lawnmower, I'm just like, oh my god, I have done it, kids, but I have never felt more seen in my entire life. No, please just stop. Like, how many times have we like spoken to our own inanimate? Like, please, just if you do this for me, I won't use you again for like 2 more months. It's okay. It's okay.
Like, please let this work.
And how many times have you done something like that when you're like trying to come up with an idea for like just a drawing? Like, come on, brain, just please, just
come on, brain, give me this, give me a break.
Just like, what line do you want me to make? What curve? Like, how am I doing?
Yeah, no, just today I was working on an idea. We're working on ideas for new preschool shows. We've got a preschool show coming that's based on wolf walkers,
Oh, that's awesome.
And and it's really fun. And the team are working on it here in the studio at the moment. And it's really lovely. We're all inspired by Bluey, and we're inspired by the really good Hey Dougie. And there's some really great preschool shows that are actually fun for adults as well,
It's just that idea of making it general audience, making everybody connect to it, making the parents want to watch it, making the kids want to watch it. Like we do miss out on a lot of that storytelling now. It feels so specific on target audiences and stuff like that. How do people go, or how would you go from like avoid being so cynical in an industry like that that kind of reduces things to an algorithm, or that's the content, and getting it back to what it was always meant to be, where it was authentic storytelling meant for everybody?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Well, I suppose we're trying to hold fast to our principles there. We just had a conversation earlier today about our preschool show, Puff and Rock, and that we don't want it to be chopped up. And we need to be on social media. We need to be on YouTube. We need to be present. But we want to be like Leica and make virtue of how we make things. Like Leica do these fantastic social media where they show all the behind the scenes of the stop motion and everything like that. And that's the side that we want to focus on, the fact that it is handcrafted, and that we don't want to turn it into, those kind of noisy shows that the kids will cry if you take the phone off them. We kind of want it to be something, as you said at the top of this, something quieter and gentler, and something that parents can watch with the kids, and that it's more curated, let's say, but it's about finding the right partners for us, because obviously there's some partners that will want us to race to the bottom, and we have to find people that are aligned with us in terms of our ethics and our points of view,
I was about to say, and just picking up off of that too, like what makes a Cartoon Saloon artist to you? Obviously, it feels like there's this sort of like brotherhood and connection that goes way beyond outside of technical skill. So what kind of things in your, I guess you could call it family at that point too, because you're spending so much time with them.
Yeah. I think there's a certain commonality. I like that there's there's generations of salooners that go away and work in other places and come back again, which is really nice too. And then there's a spirit of, we kind of have I hope this, I'm going to say it, we have a no asshole rule, we have this kind of attitude. If somebody thinks that they're the king or whatever, and that nobody else can beat them, we don't really want to work with somebody like that. We want to work with people who are, want to collaborate and want to be part of a team and want to contribute in a team kind of way. And so we don't really like to be too prescriptive like that. And we have a lot of, people with now are getting older that have been with us for a long, long time, and they have mortgages and kids and dogs and things like that. So we try and, include the extended family in studio get-togethers and things like that, because we want it to feel like a welcoming place as much as possible. It's still a business, but as much as possible, we want it to feel like a welcoming place for people. And generally, people who are attracted, like some people are attracted to living in a small town in the middle of Ireland, working in hand-drawn animation or handcrafted animation anyway. And some people are more interested in working in big studios or doing other type of stuff, and they naturally don't gravitate towards us. There's a kind of natural filter, I think, that where we are located geographically. It filters out the kind of people that wouldn't really enjoy it here. Kind of people are attracted to working here tend to be people that have already seen our work before, and they're kind of into the same thing that we're trying to do. There's a lot more than artists. It's funny, we have a big team, and like there's a lot of artists on the team, but there's also a whole administration team, a production team, and they're really important too. They have to be on the same wavelength as well.
It's so nice and refreshing to hear that, because you hear some horror stories about some of these big animation studios and how it can all go down. It's such a nice and refreshing thing to hear that a studio can treat others like it's family, and like you said, no asshole rule. You know who you are, you know what you're stepping into, and it just it speaks to how well your product goes, because it just makes everything work that much more seamlessly.
Yeah, thanks.
That's absolutely wonderful to hear. Just hearing you talk about like the kids show and everything, it reminded me of a music artist that's been around for a little while, but I've recently gotten into him. His name is Megaran. That he has two kids albums out. That the idea that he came up with doing something like that was basically he was listening to what his kid was listening to, and he goes, "Man, this is stupid, and this sucks." I can do this so much better. So just hearing that, and like how you were talking, was like, he was like, no, I don't want that AI slop. I want something that I would want my kids to watch. That's just amazing to hear. Yeah. And it truly is a family, from just like watching the videos and like watching your movies, that like you are all just connected, which is great.
And that is the thing, in the face of the crazy AI slop and the content and all, it really is that I think we're starting to seek out. I think people are already sick of it and already wary of it, And if someone wasn't bothered to write the book, why would anybody be bothered to read it? If somebody wasn't bothered to actually animate the thing that they're putting in front of their kids, then why should we expect their attention,
Absolutely. No, I'm right there with you. And on kind of, again, transitioning into the next point, have you ever passed on a project that it didn't align with the studio, your guys' vision, your voice? Was there anything that you ever kind of passed up on a project, or you?
Oh yeah, plenty of times, I suppose. I mean, famously in the early days, we got approached by McDonald's to do a commercial where it was about a little teddy bear bugging the kid, or telling the kid to bug the parents to stop at McDonald's, And we were like, we're not making that commercial. So yeah, it was a big thing to say no. In the early days of the studio, to not do a commercial was, we were all taking a risk, but we all were in agreement.
And that's to just go off of that a little bit. Sorry, Rob, if I'm cutting in real quick. You have worked with some like bigger names. Like I just watched the Star Wars Visions episode this morning, and the first time that I watched through season 2 of Visions, I was like, this looks really familiar. Why do I know this? And then once I saw Cartoon Saloon again, I was like, oh, what was it like getting that idea and working with Disney, and especially within an IP that is so connected to a lot of people? Like, I grew up watching Star Wars and love everything about it. I don't care how bad the movies are. I don't care what other people say. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. And your episode was it was so beautiful and stunning to watch, and just the storytelling. What was it like working in that universe?
That was something I was honestly wary of at this beginning. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like to work with them, but they were a really supportive team. They were a really great team. The team in Lucasfilm really wanted us to bring what we do. And my business partner, Paul, is a big sci-fi fan, and he was excited about the opportunity to do a short that was in a totally different in a science fiction type setting. So we were really, myself and Nora were really hoping that Paul would start directing again, because for years and years he'd been more on the producer side. And so we were delighted that he wanted to do it and take it on. And we were just really lucky with that team in Lucasfilm that were making visions. They really wanted to, each filmmaker and each studio that they went to bring something of themselves to it. So that's why we said yes. I mean, if they'd wanted us to do something that really wasn't us, we wouldn't have done it. But they really wanted it to come from us, and it's kind of fun that we invented a planet that's a little bit like the planet of Ireland, kind of, and told a story that kind of like an Irish ghost story, So that was fun. It was definitely a lot of fun for the writers, Jason and Will. We work with the guys all the time. Jason's full-time in the studio. Will is a writer that we work with really regularly. And I think for them to get to write a Star Wars and then follow it all the way through and go to Skywalker Ranch and everything, to do the sound design and everything was really a kick,
I could imagine that being so
too.
much fun, and like being able to take those risks like that as becoming more successful in like your studio endeavors. How has that changed your relationship with risk taking in certain avenues?
Well, I hope that we continue to take risks, because I think you have to, and that's where creativity really happens, when there's a bit of friction, when you're feeling a bit like out of your depth. I definitely feel like that about my next film and our new movie that's coming out now, Julie, and it's going to premiere at the Annecy Animation Festival this summer. That's a very different film again, with a new director, Louise Bagnall. So hopefully we're continuing to take risks, but as the studio gets bigger, it becomes riskier as well, because you've got more mouths to feed and more people to worry about. But it would be betraying our own kind of brand and our own ethos not to try and continue to tell. As Nora puts it, she says it's brave stories beautifully told. That's what we try to do.
And that's okay. Can you just make that as a T-shirt? I have a million of them. Because that truly just feels what your studio embodies. It's just absolutely wonderful. Each story that you tell that ties into a folklore that we may not know of all that much here in the States, especially, is absolutely beautiful. Like, even though in Secret of Kells and a lot of the other stories, they do make friends with the Fae. I always grew up with the don't trust the Fae. They will steal your soul. But that's just what we've learned on this side of the pond. But seeing that and seeing more things come out with more of like the Irish backgrounds and the Irish heritages, even within the mainstream media. Like, how do you guys try to hold on to your tradition and not just let it become what we think of as Irish here in the West?
Yeah, I guess, there's there's a subtle pressure at certain times from some people that we work with but I think that what we've discovered is that, as I was saying earlier, the more we kind of stick to what we are authentically experiencing ourselves, then it's changing now, because like we're making different kind of films now. And like the film I'm working on at the moment is about the friendship between the Irish and the Choctaw Indians in Oklahoma, that goes back to 1847. And actually, in our research, we discovered there's a connection with First Nations and Indigenous people across North America and Canada. But in 1847, there was a famine in Ireland that was basically engineered by the British, and there was plenty of food, so it shouldn't really be called a famine, but the food was all being shipped out to England and the Irish were being left to starve. And when the Choctaw heard about that, they sent money, and when that was discovered, and actually it wasn't just the Choctaw, the Cherokee and a lot of other nations came to our aid at that time. And then Ireland has kind of remembered that since then. And so for me, I'm delving into another culture now, you know, after spending so long, I've been felt fairly much like, okay, I can speak with a lot of confidence about the Irish culture, you know, but now I'm looking for collaborators from Native American background and bringing people on from that point of view, because to get back to your question, like for the Irish stuff, it felt like the water we were swimming in. It felt like that's natural for us to reflect that back to the world, and to betray that, we would have felt a bit cringy. We would have been cringing a bit if we'd been kind of playing up the Frosted Lucky Charms kind of version of Irishness, or whatever version of Irishness might be perceived internationally. We were able to speak from our own experience. Now that I'm kind of telling a story that is, there's an Irish aspect to it. The main character is Irish, but she's on a journey with this Native American guy. I really feel the responsibility to do right by those cultures and by that culture that's not my own, you know?
It's awesome. And it's great to see another kind of culture that isn't shown a lot. You don't hear a lot of Indigenous stories. You don't hear a lot of Native American stories, even here in the United States. And it's beautiful to hear that it's two cultures coming together to work and express who they are in one beautiful collaboration.
Yeah, it's really beautiful at the moment. We have a Choctaw painter, Waylon White there, who's been working with us since early on. He's been really great help. And we traveled with him around Oklahoma and Mississippi to the different places where the Choctaw communities live, and met different people in the community. We met the chief in both the Mississippi and Oklahoma, and kind of got his blessing in both cases. And over in Louisiana as well, the chief in Louisiana, she gave her blessing too. So that was really important. And now in August, we have a Cherokee artist joining us on the storyboard team. So that's really exciting too, you know. So that's been a real... I purposely chose it because it was challenging and risky rather than doing another Irish story. I kind of felt like I'd done enough Irish folklore for now, and I wanted to explore where Irish culture had sort of intersected with other cultures. And it was during the pandemic in 2020 that I first had the idea, because there was a fundraiser for Navajo and Hopi people here in Ireland, you know. And a lot of people who were contributing to the fundraiser were saying that they remembered that the Choctaw and the Cherokee and different First Nations had helped us during the famine, that we wanted to be there for, you know, First Nations that were in need at the moment. And so it's been a journey now of nearly, 4 or 5 years that I've been actively trying to get this film off the ground, and it's finally starting to come together, and we're starting production now in July. And so I'm excited and terrified, and I think that's the way you should feel. You know, you should feel a bit scared. If you felt comfortable and sure of yourself, then I think you'd be in the wrong track, you know.
Oh, 100%. Sorry, if you've listened to episodes, I always say, 100%. And I'm listening back to the episodes, I'm just like, let's say this how much now? Once I say it in the episode, I'm like, damn it. But that's amazing to hear. And like, that project I am super looking forward to, because growing up in New Jersey, we had a big Native American community at, you know, the founding of our state. And there's a lot that we still learn about from Indigenous people here in our state. Like, we've got a lot of different historical areas that we can go check out. A lot of the stuff within our own state, people totally mispronounce because it's spelt the way that the Lenape would here.
Okay.
A lot of trails, a lot of stuff like that too. There's I will say our state does a good job of trying to preserve a lot of that history as much as humanly possible without disturbing anything. They do a pretty good job at that.
I want to go over and check it out now. I think I'm going to the New York Comic Con in October, and we're releasing the book, the 25 Years of Cartoon Saloon book. And I'm going to stay in America a little while and kind of try and go on the journey that our characters go on in the movie, you know, starting in New York and then heading up towards Boston or so. So I'm going to be on a research trip soon. So yeah,
that's so cool. We hope to catch you along the way if we can.
Yeah.
If you were to take one animator and work on a film with him, your own collaboration together with somebody, who would that animator be?
The animator that is working today that really inspires me is Joanna Quinn. She's a Welsh animator and she's amazing. And she does it. She still animates on paper and she does like the most amazing hand-drawn animation. So she'd be the person I'd love to work with. You know.
That is.
Is there any IP cool that you would want to work within if you could choose anything in the entire universe? What like IP would you want to like work within that would be like your number one?
IP, I don't know. As a kid, I was a Batman fan. You know, I know you guys did a Batman episode. I was a big Batman fan. I was the generation that the Michael Keaton Batman. He was my Batman when I was a little kid.
He's still the best live action Batman.
Right? He was a great Batman.
Still
you guys are a lot younger than me. So yeah, and I even got to meet him. I was delighted I met him. He was nominated for Birdman the same time that we were nominated for Song of the Sea, and there was this Oscar lunch where all the nominees get together, and I got to meet Batman. It was pretty cool. I was the same height as him. I always thought I was fairly short. I'm only 5'9", but he's the same height as me. I was like, well, I'm the same height as Batman, so I'm not that short.
Well, that's good to know. I'm only like 5'8", 5'9" myself. I'm like, I'm as tall as Batman.
We're okay. We're as tall as Batman. We got it.
I always say that we're average height. 5'9" is average height. That's perfectly fine. It's the average height where we can duck under stuff if we need to, but we can feel tall because in smaller space, like, oh, we got to bend down.
I'm all of 5'5". I ain't making it. Shorty squad over here. I'll keep it shorty squad.
That's cool. Short kings.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. What's one question that like nobody would normally ask you that you would want someone to ask you in a situation like this where you're getting interviewed? I'm sure we've heard a million of these. So like, what would be one question that like you would want to personally answer that nobody really asks you about?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I haven't thought about that. I haven't thought about that at all.
So we may be a small podcast, but we make you think.
No, you've done a good job. You've done a good job of asking me all the questions of stuff I wanted to talk about. And then, I was enjoying talking about my new movie because that's where my mind is at all times, so that's where I'm at.
Oh, please feel free. Give us the preview.
Go for it. We will happily take an exclusive for all of this.
Yeah, you're getting an exclusive. No, it's just, and we're only in the second draft of the script. So, the storyboards are starting soon. So the story is really in flux. And that's really what I'm working on at the moment.
Do you go normally?
What did I wish I'd been asked? What did I wish I'd been asked? That's a really tough question.
So just talking about like what you were talking about with the process of the new movie coming out and getting into the second draft of the script and the storyboards, do you normally take more script-driven approach where you're going straight off the script, or are you more storyboard-driven where you kind of give people like looser plot points and kind of go, imagine what you think would happen and we'll kind of piece it together?
Yeah, no, we've always worked with scripts from the very beginning, and then the idea would be that the script is a jumping off point a lot of the time, and an awful lot of the time once you get, like, every time we get a script to go, this is awesome, this is a movie we want to make, but then when we see it in boards up in reels as an animatic, and we kind of see what we want to change, there's always an issue and there's always an aspect of rewriting that happens in the storyboard, and I've kind of come to accept that as part of the process now. But I still am on the quest to get to the point where you do the concept art, you do the script, and then you do the storyboards, and the storyboards are exactly what you expect it to be, but it never is. There's something about putting it up there on screen and seeing it with voices, and even in a very rough form, that really... it gives you the great thing about animation and the way we work, we spend about a year or 18 months on the storyboards, and that gives us a chance to kind of make the movie roughly 3 or 4 times during that period. So that gives us a chance to kind of craft it and change it. So a lot of the time the board artists bring a lot to the story, and sometimes they're rewriting sequences, and then we call the writers and bring them in and make sure they're okay with it, and we'd have a lot of kind of meetings with the writers and with the board team,
And the one thing that I've noticed throughout a lot of your stories, and I don't know if this is just from an Irish perspective or anything like that, is you do have a lot of strong female characters. That's popping up more in mainstream nowadays, which is nice. But
Yeah.
Is that just something that is a part of your culture or anything like that? That like you can talk on having just like even looking at Wolfwalkers, that both of the lead girls it was lead girls, and it was so cool to see them fight against everything, especially during that time period of just, oh, you have to go to the scullery and
Yeah. That came up in the development now. We had a draft of that where Robin was a boy. The first draft of Wolfwalkers, Robin was a boy, and then it was we were finding that we were contriving conflict, and we were contriving reasons for a boy character to go up against at that time. And by switching it to being a girl, it was just things clicked into place. And then the next draft, and we did many drafts of Wolfwalkers. But then once she became a girl, and there were two girl characters, that really it all started to make sense, especially in that time period, that what she would be up against and what she would have to struggle with. Because you're always looking for conflict when you're writing, and you're working on a story. And we were kind of contriving it a bit before that. So that came during the writing and the kind of concept art and first storyboards, the very beginning of the kind of story process. That's when that happened. And prior to that, I think I had three younger sisters. And I think I kind of pull on my own family, history and my own life experience a lot when I'm coming up with these stories. And so I had Ben and Saoirse in Song of the Sea, and Brendan and Aisling in Secret of Kells were very much based on my relationship with the sister that's closest in age to me when we were kids,
Strong sister types, they'll get you.
I was like, being the little brother, yeah, we're always right. It's okay. But but it's just great to see that like a lot of this is just coming from your stories and just probably the other writers. Like it's great to see a lot of the personal connections with it, because that's the best way to connect with your audience, is through those personal connections, that somebody's like, oh, that reminds me of Abdahu or Himiniha.
That's absolutely it, yeah. And it's the way to stay with the story, because you have to live with it for so long. So I always kind of put people that I love and people from my family and friends and people around me into the stories, because it's a way to kind of you bring aspects of them to it. And then it's a way to live with those characters for so long, because you don't live with them. Even you live with them for so long, it could be 4 or 5 years making the movie, but then after the movie's finished, you still have to kind of live with them. You still have to stand beside them, and sometimes I still have to draw the characters for friends and fans and stuff like that. So it's nice that they remind me of somebody important to me.
Who's been your favorite character to like kind of bring to life through all of the processes that you've done so far?
That's such a great question. I guess Maeve in Wolfwalkers. I think she's been the most fun, and she's the one that's most requested, and I get why. She's a lot of fun, and that's why she's the star of our new series as well. We're doing a spin-off series just about Maeve, and she was just a bit younger with her pack of wolves, and yeah, I really enjoy Maeve.
That's so cool that they're like, and you see a lot of shows try to do it, but I know you guys are going to crush it when you bring Maeve into that younger world and letting people explore like the wilderness as a younger kid. That I feel like is going to be such a good thing for this young generation that's stuck on their iPads and watching whatever they're watching on their phone, just to get outside and see the world as what it could be.
Yeah. Touch grass, yeah.
Tell people to go outside and touch grass.
Yeah, touch grass. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's definitely the Maeve series. That's what it's mostly going to be. A lot of fun and hijinks. Obviously, in the Wolfwalkers world, it's not modern day, so she's just her and her pack of wolves and her mom. That's the conceit of it.
And you had said that Maeve is one of your characters that people ask you to, like draw and talk about. how this is going to be a weird question because I have a lot myself of tattoos. How weird is it when somebody comes up and says, look at this that I got from your story? How cool is that to see? Or like weird is it to see like you put that on your body permanently? Why?
Yeah, it's cool. I'm happy about it. I love tattoos myself, and I have a lot of tattoos myself. So it's flattering when people do that. But I remember one time I did a sketch for somebody and they got it tattooed on them, and I felt so bad because I wish I could have known they were going to do that, because I would have done a better drawing if they were going to get it tattooed on them.
Well, hearing that you do that, I hate to be that person. Would you ever do you do commissions for tattoos if like anybody were to ask? Because I have a lovely Celtic knot on my arm for strength, to always remind me that I have the strength to continue and persevere forward. Would you ever be willing to,
Absolutely. That's what I wish was.
A Celtic knot for the Trinity knot? Because like I said before, I do youth ministry, and
beautiful.
I would love to get that piece just right here to go along with the other one to remind me I have the strength and I have the Trinity always with me.
We'll search out. You'll be beautiful.
I like that. Maybe when you're here for Comic-Con, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, catch me. No, I think that's my other career. If I wasn't in animation, I think I would have liked to have been a tattoo artist.
Oh, you would have been perfect at it then.
That would have been fun to see you do tattoos.
Just seeing some of the, like doing like traditional like Irish style for tattoos, I think are absolutely gorgeous. I think that'd be so much fun.
That would be so interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. All right, guys.
I think it's about time to wrap up. Is there anything else that you'd like to, say to our audience, or anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap everything up?
No, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I hope that anybody listening to it who hasn't seen any of our work maybe goes and looks it up after this.
Thank you so much for hopping on.
After our Irish animation, they need to now.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, now they have to. Yeah.
Now they don't have a choice. Now it's homework.
Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. Like I said earlier on, I know that we're just a burgeoning podcast, but being able to have somebody as influential as you on here is just a true honor. Like speaking from the bottom of both our hearts, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Guys, we just wrapped up with Tomm Moore.
My heart is still racing, and I really want to try when he can. Like I have sworn off Comic-Con now because of
everything.
Because it's not worth the money in my opinion. But holy crap, I may have to just go to Comic-Con to try to find Tomm Moore and be like, hi buddy.
And guys, that'll wrap it up from the ADHD podcast, season 3 premiere with the interview with Tomm Moore. This has been your boy, Rob.
And this has been your boy, Steve.
Thanks for listening. And remember, keep this
pod.
Time it out. Keep this podcast weird. Keep it weird. Today's episode was recorded at the Greenlight Studios in East Hanover, New Jersey. This episode's intro and outro music was brought to you by Solar Bloom with the title, It's a Tiny World. Check them out on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your music.
Thank you for tuning into the ADHD podcast. We hope you've enjoyed our nonsense and whimsy. Please make sure to follow us on our social medias. Instagram at anecdote@animateddysfunctionpod. Bluesky at adhdpodcast.bsky.social. And TikTok at animationdysfunc. Links below in the show notes. Check out our merch store on TeePublic. Links for that are also in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and remember, keep keep this podcast weird.